On this week's episode of the Schmoeville podcast, I'm joined by Facebook admin Brian Fernandez. We're going to discuss how we can help grow Collider and Schmoes, this week's title match involving Dan Merle and Mark Riley, and recap episode number 240 of the Schmoes Know show. Let's get tickled. Welcome to the Schmoeville podcast. It's that recap podcast that celebrates Schmoes Know and Collider and everything under that umbrella. We talk about Christian Harloff, we talk about Mark Ellis, and sometimes we even talk to them. Right now, I've got Facebook admin Brian Fernandez in the house. What's up, my man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. What a fantastic show that we got to see. My God, it was awesome.
I'm excited to talk about it and everything that happened in the last week since we last recorded our podcast. Before we get into it, I just want to say you might be listening to this on the SK Podcast YouTube channel. If you are, just know that this is now on the Schmoes Know Show podcast feed where you can find on iTunes your favorite podcast player. And if you're listening to it that way, just know it's on YouTube as well. That way you can listen to it however you want. But yes, it's there for you. We love chatting with you. I had a ton of people follow me on Twitter. I loved the engagement I was getting from you guys. So thank you very much for tweeting at me. I'm sort of new to that. So I hope that I don't come across as abrasive or harsh or anything. Cause, I don't know. I don't want to be misunderstood. We've talked in the past, like I talked to Christian, my Freddie Prinze Jr. incident. I hope that I don't come across a certain way on Twitter. So I'm learning, guys. It's a new thing that I'm getting tweeted at. So bear with me, but bring it on. I love engaging with you guys. Follow me on Twitter. I guess I should say my Twitter handle, @FilmBeefSnell. Just real quick, I got an announcement. I got a text from Paul Wolf. Paul Wolf, who created this show with me. He is planning on coming back the weekend of August 5th, I guess.
Which is the same week of Suicide Squad.
Oh, there you go. Maybe that's why he's coming back. Yeah.
Maybe.
He wants to try to talk about Suicide Squad, and I will then remove it from the podcast because we don't talk about movies on here. No.
That
so
would
it's
be
a
a separate podcast.
Exactly. It's a little bit less than a month away. So, Paul, we're looking forward to your return. Hope everything is going well with you. Anyway, with that being said, again, thank you, Brian, for joining me. How long have you been an admin of the Facebook page?
I've been an admin since April. I think it was April 14th. So.
Of this year. Okay.
Yeah, of this year. I think it's like 3 months already that I've been an admin.
Yeah.
And I'm still on that learning.
Sure.
Of being an admin. So, I mean, it's a process and all this stuff, but when you get to work with like Leanne Lecoteur, yes. And when you get to, when you also get to, talk with also like Michael K, Tyler Myers and all that stuff, and even Rasika as well, and you get to learn, a lot more about about doing admin there for the Schmoeville page. I mean, it's really cool. And the one thing that about being an admin is just, making sure that everybody just sticks to, the conversations to like the Schmoes and to Collider. I mean, we'll get some posts, whether if it's like, like either Christian or Mark is a guest on Screen Junkies, let's say, for like movie fights, we'll allow it, but it's only for like that. It's gonna be for like that one episode, and then and then everything else is just like, if everybody has like an interesting article that they want to bring up from Collider, they share it to the group, and and it's also a great conversation starter that way. But I mean, we've been maintaining everything so far with everything. So I mean, we haven't had a lot of problems with with Schmoeville so far. I mean, other than one incident that we will be getting into a little bit later.
Oh, we
Um,
are. I wasn't
yeah,
aware to. I wasn't aware to prompt that conversation. I guess just bring it
I
up whenever.
yeah. I mean, if you want to bring it up, I mean, let's do it. I
Well, I
think it
don't want
was
to.
a
I don't want to name names. I don't. I mean,
yeah. I
if you want to, you can
Me
feel free
neither.
to tell me what you do as an admin, but I don't want to name names and
Yeah, I don't.
get too ugly.
I don't want to name any names either, but it does have to do with a situation that I think that happened with a member of the Schmoes crew. Um,
Okay.
and I'm not gonna put any names on it, but it went a little bit too far on one posting, and thank God the Schmoevillian who wrote in as a post, apologized publicly, and and all was forgiven. But you know, I,
Were you an admin at this time,
yes,
or
I
did
am.
it just
Yes,
happen? Okay. So I'm gonna have to.
yeah.
I'll have to do my research and see what's been going on the past few months. But no, dude. Ever since I've joined the Facebook group, like I'm new. I'm newish to this community. But ever since I've joined, I haven't really seen.
Can I ask like how long you've been new into Schmoeville?
Like just in general or the Facebook group.
Um, Both in general
Well,
and in the Facebook.
so I actually got into this space watching Collider. I don't remember exactly how it started, but I think I caught an episode of Movie Talk first, and this was about a year ago because I think wasn't like today or yesterday the birthday of Collider Movie Talk.
I
So
think so.
it was around this time because I remember gearing up for Fantastic Four, which came out last August.
Oh yeah.
So it's been about a year that I've been watching Movie Talk just about every day. I can't remember the last time I missed an episode. It's been really fun to watch Collider, and I guess since its existence, grow the way it has. I mean, I talk about it on the show all the time, but it's been about a year, and of course, I think I saw a random Schmoes Know show doing some research on Lexi Alexander, who I interviewed on my podcast, and so I'd seen it, but obviously watching Collider. I didn't see the Schmoes Know show live until Phase 6, and then when I started doing this podcast, I started doing more of my homework and paying attention to what people in Schmoeville, like what episodes they were talking about. And, you hear certain things like the trial of JTE and things are said on the live show. And so I know to go back and watch those things. So I feel like I've done pretty well. I think this is the 16th episode. So in the past 4 months that I've been hosting this show, I feel like I've done pretty well kind of educating myself on what's been going on. And there's a few other things like just the character of Finstock. You just pick up on that. You don't even have to, just to get who he is as a person, you only have to see him like once or twice. So I don't know. Overall, I feel like I've done pretty well for myself. But as far as watching the Schmoes live show, it's strictly Phase 6, except for all the backlog and the homework that I've visited. So Schmoeville, I can't remember when I joined Facebook group. It was probably earlier this year when I first heard about it. So, but anyway, I was gonna say in my time in the Schmoeville Facebook group, I haven't really seen anything get out of hand. At least in a negative way. Like things have gotten out of hand, like the barbecue memes, but that was fantastic and always
Those
had me
barbecue
rolling.
memes were just amazing. Those
And I
were
think we're
amazing, dude.
gonna address that later on for sure. But other than that, just like kind of playful fun that kind of gets out of hand sometimes. I haven't seen anything really negative. So, yeah, I think that's a lot of credit to you guys who run that page. Do a lot of good job policing what's being posted. So, kudos to you for making that a pleasant place to be on the internet. Let's get right into something I want to discuss. And Christian made a point earlier, even in the Facebook group. Last week after the live show, he was really pushing. He posted. He's really pushing us to try and help him grow this show. And I've been curious. Like I'm a fan of like Screen Junkies and Chris Stuckman and all these other people in this space that have so many subscribers. And the reality is, Collider and Schmoes, I'm not saying they have to grow, because obviously they're happy, and if they're happy, that's all that matters. But they're sort of on the lower end when compared to all those other people, and I want them to be at the forefront, because that's like, this is my team. Like, if you ask me, are you Team Schmoes or Team Screen Junkies? Obviously, I'm Team Schmoes. So the topic I want to discuss with you, and I'll probably be doing it several weeks into this podcast, asking different people who come on the show, what can we do to help grow these two communities, Collider Video and Schmoes Know? And I asked you earlier in the week to be thinking about it, but I'd like to have a discussion. Like, what can we do as a group, as a community, as a fan base to help them succeed even greater? Do you have any ideas?
I mean, the only thing that would really come into my mind would just be, just keep promoting, them like everywhere that you go. Let's say when you have like friends who don't know much about movies, or they don't know much about TV shows or anything. You can always go up to them and just be like, hey, have you heard of Collider Video, or have you heard of Schmoes Know? These guys do awesome movie reviews, and they do awesome TV reviews as well. You should give them a shot. Look into them on YouTube. Just look up on YouTube Schmoes Know, and you'll find everything that you need to know there. They also have an awesome podcast that they do every Thursdays, which is incredible, funny at the same time. But yet they're also informative on everything. So they can give you all the news that you need to know about which movie's coming out, whether said movie is good or if it's bad. They can give you all that information.
Sure. I don't live in a very creative town, so over the past year or so, when I've tried to explain what Collider Video or Schmoes Know is, it's really difficult, because part of me wants to start off with, oh, but it's a podcast, but actually they review movies on YouTube, and it's these really short videos, but actually they go over here and also they have this talk show, and it's like the ESPN. There's so many things that you can bring up, and when I describe who the Schmoes are to people, it's honestly a different answer every time. So as a fan, I've been trying to figure out what's the best way to realize who you're talking to in the moment. What's the best way to get them involved? Because just from my experience, like I said, I came in and watched Movie Talk. And if you watch a week of Movie Talk, you will start to gain the knowledge that you need. Like, hey, on Fridays they do this movie trivia Smo Down, because that's what they're promoting on Movie Talk, right? And then that leads to subscribing to the YouTube channel. So then you start to see everything that they're putting out. So I guess to kind of go off of what you said, think about who you're talking to when you're trying to promote Schmoes. If they ask you your thoughts on Secret Life of Pets, say, oh, when the Schmoes reviewed it, and just talk about their movie reviews. And then if they like it, they will discover everything else on their own. Or someone might love listening to podcasts, and then you could just bring up, oh, the Schmoeville podcast, or the Schmoes Know podcast. Yeah, I just plugged my own thing. So I think that's a great point. Just keep in mind who you're talking to, and know exactly, give them the best content that will bring them into this community. And I think it'll kind of unfold for them. Another thing to go off of what you said is, I think, honestly, buying their merchandise. Because I know when I got a Schmoeville shirt, I wore it to work, and several people asked me what it was. They go, why are you wearing a Sesame Street shirt? And I go, actually, it's a Schmoeville shirt. So buy the merch. And I know me and Luke talked about how the shirts don't fit, and I got a text from Christian today. I guess I can tell everyone, don't dry the shirts. Make sure you hang them up after you wash them.
I still wear my shirts everywhere that I go. I have at least about 10 Schmoes Know shirts.
How many people have asked you what that is? Anybody?
I've been gotten the last time that I received a lot of Schmoes Know was over in Florida SuperCon, which was last year. and I was wearing my my it's Luke Skywalker Mother F shirt, all around Florida SuperCon, and at least about 15 to 20 people stopped me, and they were like, "Oh my, wait, are you Brian Fernandez from Schmoeville?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it's so nice to meet you, man. It's so nice to meet you." And it was just, and I'm like, "Dude, this is amazing." You know, like there's Floridian Schmoevillians here, who love Schmoes Know. And yeah, when I was also walking around, they were like, "Dude, that's an awesome shirt. Where did you get it?" I'm like, "Oh, you just go to tpublic.com/Schmoes Know, and you can get all their merchandise there. You can also check out their channel at Schmoes Know on YouTube, and you can also check them out on Collider as well." And they're like, "Dude, that's awesome." I mean, so it's it's all about like promoting them, wherever you go, and even like you said, wearing, buying the merch, when somebody asks you like, "Where did you get that?" You could tell them, "Oh, I got it from this merch store, which is tpublic.com/Schmoes Know." You can get all their you can get all their merchandise there. They have different shirt designs, whether if it's like saying just Schmoes Know, or it'll just say Schmoeville, or they have different submitted designs from other Schmoevillians, who've also just put in like their own designs, whether if it's like the Toy Story design for when it says I think it says like Schmoes Know in like Toy Story design there, and they also had like the Avengers one as well. Those were Schmoevillians who sent in those designs, and their designs are being on shirts, and they're like, "Holy crap, I submitted this, and now I'm being represented there with the Schmoes, which is really cool." So just buying the merch and just spreading out the word about them is really important, because that's how you get that's how they get more fans, and that's how people are like are always like talking about like different movies as well. I think it was last week. I was wearing like the baseball tee for Harloff Minor shirt, and I was watching the Neon Demon, mind you. And we don't talk movies, I know, but I was watching the movie The Neon Demon, and this one guy asked me, "Dude, I love your shirt. Where'd you get it?" tpublic.com/Schmoes Know. And he's like, "Dude, I love the Schmoes. Are you subscribed to them on YouTube or on Collider Video?"
There
No.
you go. Accountability. I like it. Follow up with that person. Ask them, "Hey, did you subscribe?" That's amazing. What a what a great point. Hold them accountable. Watch them take their phone, make sure they subscribe right then and there. I love it. I think with both of us, I mean, we've illustrated that merch is definitely effective. So definitely, guys, make sure you're buying those shirts. They're a conversation piece for sure.
And even like social media as well. Like, you can be sharing out the link for like the live show, for people who have never heard of it. I got my mom into watching it. I think about like a year and a half ago, and she loves watching it. She loves watching the Schmoes and all this stuff, and she's told me that I look like a cross between Cobster and Christian.
Well, if anyone follows you on Facebook, they know that you also think that about yourself, because that picture actually works. It's actually not bad at all.
I use that face swap thing on Snapchat, and I just put in Christian Harloff's face there, and I'm just like, "Hey," took a picture, and I just put it there as my profile picture, and just like
you had trouble. You thought Snapchat was broken because it didn't look like it added a picture at all. It was just still you.
I could pull out like those comments there, but it's the funniest thing. Like, I think it was oh my god, I need to see it here. I think it was like Leanne Lecoteur writes why? Just wondering. I'm I'm just there laughing my butt off, and then like Jake the Snake there is like, isn't one Christian enough? Oh my god. Oh man. But it was the funniest thing. And then I remember like I did like the other face swaps with Brett Sheridan, Ace, Cody, and Mark. Oh my god, it was just the funniest thing. I have those pictures on my phone. I want to share them on. I think I did share them in Schmoeville.
Everyone right now, make sure that you face swap your face with every member of Schmoes, and that's how you share this what do I want to call it? Content. I actually think actually promoting the live show might actually turn people off. I think that kind of freaks people out when you tell them that it's a 2-hour live show. That's something that I've grown to appreciate. And again, it was the last thing that I really discovered about them. So, but I know that like I have friends of mine who enjoy like podcasting, for example, and they'd much rather listen to it as a podcast instead of watching the live show. So I would actually think that I don't think I would ever go straight towards promoting the live show, but as long as they're subscribed to the channel, they can discover that for themselves. Because again, that's the long form, that I think that can kind of freak people out. My final idea that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but and like and also mind you, like the Collider feeds that are there on like the YouTube channel, they automatically like get transcribed to like audio, and it's there on like the podcast, and it's there on like the podcast feed. So I mean, you can also tell people like, if you don't want to see it on video, you can just look up Collider video on your on wherever you can get podcasts, exactly. And you can listen to it there. I mean, there's multiple ways to to support it. I mean, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or wherever you can get podcasts nowadays. Stitcher is one way.
Right.
I don't think it is on Stitcher. Maybe it is. I need to check. But you can, there's many ways to like listen to it on like, on audio or if
right.
You don't want to listen to it on audio, you can watch it, visual, and it's there's many tools and many ways to to enjoy a show or a podcast. So, I mean,
absolutely.
That's the beauty of what we have right now. I mean, it's amazing how technology is nowadays. Technology has advanced a lot.
Okay, hold on, settle down. I agree. I think this goes back to what we said about just knowing your audience. I know podcasting is a very niche kind of form of new media. So if you know someone who listens to podcasts, give them the Collider feed, the Schmoes Know feed, whatever. My final idea, and I'm sort of comparing it to Screen Junkies. They like to, Screen Junkies and Andy, they bust Mark and Christian's balls for, messing with them with their subscriber count or whatever. But I think what the Schmoes are missing, or maybe even Collider, because the Schmoes have their short form reviews, which is great, and Collider has their trailer reactions. But I think what the Schmoes are missing is viral content. Like Screen Junkies, and I might be wrong. Someone who's followed these two groups can probably tell me that I'm wrong. But Screen Junkies have honest trailers. Honest trailers are something that are spread like wildfire via like /film.com, and any website will post an honest trailer. Sometimes they appear like on Huffington Post and shit, like really huge blogs. So if the Schmoes can come up with some type of viral content that can break through YouTube, because YouTube is a cesspool. Let's face it. Like, I love the content that we talk about on this show, but you can also click the next related video and it's a guy masturbating to God knows what, and it's just trash. So the Schmoes have to break through YouTube somehow, and I think I think Collider News is excellent because the title of the video is always like. Take a second. Take a second.
You broke me, man. It was just,
You're throwing me off. Where are my notes? I think Collider Collider News is great because the titles of their videos are, headline news and they're relevant. They go up right when the news breaks, so that's perfect. And those kind of videos can just be scattered throughout YouTube, and that's how people can, come to their channel. So I think that works well. But as far as the viral content, I think you just need something that spreads like wildfire and will really push that subscriber count. So I might develop that even more.
What ideas do you think that, I mean, they could do as like a viral content, that'll get them like really known. I mean, they're known for their reviews, but but I think they're slowly getting known for doing the podcasts as well, and they're getting some recognition from Collider. So I think those audiences that are there from Collider, I think if they would love to check out the Schmoes channel and get to know a little bit more about them, if they don't know about them, if they only know Christian and Mark from just Collider, and they've never checked out their channel, it would be the perfect opportunity. I would love to get to know about the Schmoes.
Sure.
Where do I have to go to? Just search up Schmoes Know there in the search bar, and you'll see a bunch of different movie reviews from the Schmoes, and they'll just be like, okay, what's their most recent review? In this case, it would be probably The Secret Life of Pets, I think. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it is.
I'm sure it is. It's fine.
But yeah, like let's say Secret Life of Pets. Boom, click. They watch their video and they're like, oh my god, I just enjoyed watching that video. Let me see what other reviews they have. Probably there was like one or two movies, that someone had in their mind that they wanted to review. They could just look it up on their page, on their YouTube page, and da-da-ding, it'll pop up there, and it'll be like, oh my god, they reviewed this movie. Oh
Right.
my lord, I need to check this out. So there's a lot of different ways to promote everybody, and to just get everybody's attention. So, I mean, as far as viral content, I do agree that that Screen Junkies does have honest trailers, but if we're gonna throw out any ideas for viral content, I mean, I would just say, I mean, they should just keep on doing what they're doing with their reviews. I would just say that. I mean, they're doing really good with the reviews.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no question of quality here. It's just what are some outside of the box kind of ways that they can grow their channel? And they're figuring stuff out and doing a great job with Collider, like I said. But it's, as far as just like taking in big numbers quickly and trying to grow this channel, I mean, the easy answer without me thinking, like just because you just asked the question, you could throw out like some interesting mashups. And mashups are kind of interesting because, for one, they're fun to watch, but you can also just come up with something like even RB3, for example, like the videos that he's able to put together every week. Apply that to like something that you saw in a movie. Like you watched a movie and you thought a certain character would be funny in another movie. Like when people do all those gifs with John Travolta looking confused on Reddit.
Oh yeah, those are amazing.
If you can come up with an idea like that, like once a week, throw it out there on the channel. Maybe that would work better as like a Collider thing, maybe, but who knows? And then another interesting thing would be like on location interviews that are like really funny. Like if you gave Ellis a microphone and had him talk to people outside of a movie theater, sort of like what they do on like late night, like Conan does a lot, like stuff in the field. Like if you gave Ellis a mic and had him talk to people leaving a movie, asking him what they thought, and like Ellis was like kind of making fun of that person or whatever kind of bit he wanted to do. I think something like that would gain a lot of attention as well.
I
So
mean, I
those
would
are just
I
my
would
easy
think
answers.
yeah, I would think another thing that I think maybe some people would like to, are probably thinking to themselves right now is like, what is, what's their life like, outside of Collider and Schmoes. I mean, are they just hanging out with their family, or are they doing, something else? You know, I think that would be another thing that they could probably look into. As in like just like very little, like 5-minute vlogs or something. Just so that way people can get an insight as to like what their outside life is outside of Schmoes and outside of Collider. I mean, that would be an interesting idea as well. But you know, let's see what happens.
Sure.
Maybe it could happen. I don't know.
Right. And who knows what can happen with this web series that they're developing later this year. I mean, Christian acted like it's possible that they could get it in front of people in television, and that could be a whole other conversation.
Maybe that could be the viral their viral marketing that they could use to grow more audiences. Maybe they can use that, but I mean, there's a bunch of things that they can try to do, but
Well, if they're posting it, they're creating a pilot, so that's not really going to work as viral content. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. I think
if they
that's
do like the full series, and they end up finishing it, I mean, that could be that could be something that'll just be like, oh my god, this was amazing. Maybe like maybe like an episode a week or something like that. How Honest Trailers does it. Maybe it could be something like that. I mean, I would love to see more. I'd love to see more like what is it, like more skits that like the B team does with the Schmoes. I would like to see more of that, but the Schmoes, doing this, doing like the skits instead of like the B team, so they could try to get back at the B team for everything. Wouldn't that be
Right.
awesome?
Yeah, I mean, and again, all this it would be difficult to manage because of
Yeah.
the time committed to both
Yeah,
channels. So who knows? But I might try to wrestle with those ideas and develop it over the next few weeks. And again, we'll be on future episodes of Schmoeville. I'll probably be asking different people what they think, and because I know Christian listens to this and he values everyone's opinions. So I don't know. I just thought it'd be a nice thing to discuss. Moving, sort of transitioning now into talking Smo Down very quickly. Did you watch the top 10 ranking video that they put out? Was it today? I think. Did you catch that?
Or I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Or maybe no. Yeah, it was yesterday with top 10 talking animals. Maybe.
Do what?
I think it was top 10.
No, I'm talking about the ranking of the Smo Down. How they break down.
The Schmo Down.
Yes.
I didn't get to catch up with that.
Oh, okay.
I need to
well, you brought up top
with
10
that.
show, so great episode. No Sten Roca, by the way. But no, the top 10 breakdown, essentially just some things that I noticed here is that, for one, Jason Inman is a contender. I mean, he's right up there with between Andy and Christian. I know he's 1-0, but I just have a lot of confidence in him, and I'm a huge fan of his. But one thing to point out is that JTE is number 10. I find that hilarious because he's the one that's trying to make all these moves and figure out how he can be a contender for the belt. And I don't know if that's going to happen soon. I just think that's hilarious. And it's even more hilarious that Finstock, yeah, Finstock is ahead of him in the ranking. I think that's hilarious. But one thing they brought up was that the winner of Riley and Merle, which we'll talk about in just a second, the winner of Riley and Merle and the winner of Clark, Wolf, and Sam Levine will go after the belt after tomorrow's match. And I'm just curious. Actually, no, let's talk about Riley and Merle first. So Mark Ellis, I predicted that he would win against JT. JT hung in there though. It was not a knockout like Luke predicted on last week's show. But I am team Schmoes. I am team Ellis, so I'm glad I got that win last week. But how do you feel going into tomorrow's match? Well, we're recording on Thursday night. How do you feel going into Merle and Riley's match, the title match?
I will just say it's gonna be a tough match. I mean, they both know their shit. They know everything. They know a lot of stuff. I mean, I too love watching Screen Junkies as well. Um, you know, I'm a fan of the Schmoes and I'm a fan of Screen Junkies. So I'm like you, right? Snelling. Uh, I was about to go Ryan, like Harloff there,
You'll
but
get Christian stirred up again. It'll start a whole other thing. I finally got that out of his head.
no, I'm like you, Snelling. I like both Schmoes and Screen Junkies, but if I'm gonna pick a winner, I'm gonna say it's gonna be Riley. I think it's gonna be the same way like it was last week for Ellis and JT. I think Riley's gonna win by 1 point by sudden death.
Okay, interesting. I look at Riley. He's 5-0. Okay, and the more wins he has under his belt, the more I'm afraid to pick him as a winner because he can only stay at the top for so long.
He's 5-0, and I think like 2 knockouts or 3 knockouts.
Yeah, pretty
somewhere,
nuts.
somewhere there.
But it's like he can't keep the throne forever. Like somebody's got to get him. Merle is 2-0, and he's a contender. And we talk about Dan, how he's always he's always fact checking on movie fights, and that that laptop is always in front of his face. But I don't think we've ever brought up the fact that Riley is a contender when it comes to current news because he makes the show notes for Movie Talk, and he's buzzing around that studio all day talking about movies. I mean, he, in that sense, is a real threat as well. I mean, but that's obvious, okay? So, I mean, I guess everyone knows that he's a contender. He's had the belt this long. But I guess it's just really difficult to make this decision. I don't think I'll do it again, but I'm going to go with Riley. But I think if he gets to 6-0 and has to battle someone like Clark or Sam Levine, it's going to be tough for him to get to 7-0. I mean, that's just really tough. But the thing, like with sports, for example, like I'm a Kentucky fan. Obviously, I'm from Kentucky. And sometimes in the tournament, Kentucky has to play the same team for the third time. And when you're talking sports, it's insanely difficult for a team to beat someone for the third time. So I made sure to check that stat. And obviously, Riley and Merle have not played against each other. That's part of the homework I have to do since I'm not well versed in Schmoes. But I had to fact check all that. It's scary, but I'm going to go with Riley. But to talk about what I brought up originally, which is the winner of tomorrow's match has to face the winner of Clark and Levine for the belt again. Now, Clark and Sam Levine are a little bit tougher to talk about because they're both 2-0. They're both contenders. So I had to break it down with their matches in Phase 6. So you had Levine and Snyder, when they went up against each other, Levine won 14-10 by a 4-point difference, right? When Sam defeated Rudnick, he defeated him by 3 points, 15-12. Both of Clark's matches versus Finstock and Makuga, she's only won by 2 points. So I don't know if that says more about the winners or the losers, but Sam usually gets ahead more. So I think there's a situation where Clark, who, everyone loves, I think she might get the kibosh facing Sam Levine here in the future. Do you agree with that or disagree?
I would say, oh man, and to quote Andy Signor, this is tough. I mean, it's. I look at this as, as. Man, I don't know how to really talk about Wolf and God, man,
it's tough. I mean, when you get to this, when you're in this, we're talking about everyone that we're talking about is in the let's see, Riley, Clark, and Sam. I mean, that's the top three. I mean, Clark and Sam are neck and neck. So, yeah, it does get really difficult.
Merle is the number one contender, until tomorrow. Um, yeah. But I would say, just looking at this matchup between Levine and Wolf, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. They both know a lot of stuff, a lot of movie knowledge. The only thing is, when I when I rewatched the matchups with Clark and Finstock, I noticed that she missed at least, like, 3 or 4 questions, and it got to her a lot, but when we saw Clark Wolf against Makuga, she only missed 1 question and she got everything else right. So I think the I don't know what's, like, the right term for it, but I think the pressure has gotten to her a bit because
Okay.
she
does get nervous. She does have an anxiety.
yeah. I would think the pressure gets to her there when it comes to trying to answer a question, because she's like trying to think about it, but at the same time, when she can't get anything, I mean, it'll just slip by, and I think that's what she needs to work on against Levine. But when we saw the matchup against Levine with Hal Rudnick, he didn't have a lot of problems answering those questions, and I think
Wasn't a very eventful Smo Down.
Yeah,
it wasn't really a contest. It wasn't as bad as Snyder and El Mayimbe. I mean, that was a shit show.
Dude,
I mean,
I think that matchup there, Jeff Snyder and El Mayimbe, and this is just my opinion, okay? I mean, and probably you guys can agree with this, but this is just mine. I think that matchup it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have
really?
happened.
Interesting.
Because it was, yeah, I don't know why it should have happened, because it was it was just so one-sided all the way. It was just so one-sided. I mean, everybody knew that Jeff Snyder was going to win. I mean, and just looking at it, El Mayimbe mainly knows a lot about like the comic book movies and all that stuff.
See, I didn't know anything about Snyder, so I actually had no idea. I don't remember who I picked initially, but I mean, I didn't have any idea.
I think you picked Jeff Snyder against El Mayimbe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that I did that, if I did, but that's okay.
No, but I would think just looking at that match itself, I mean, Jeff Snyder knows a lot about movies, because that's where he's at. He knows a lot about movies because he writes about movies always, in his articles. But the only thing is,
and he writes about a variety of movies
exactly,
instead of strictly just genre films.
Exactly, and that's what El Mayimbe was. He only stuck with genre movies, which is comic book movies. I mean, it was just so one-sided, and watching it, I'm like, did this match really need to happen?
Right.
Did it really need to happen? I mean, it was just so, like, I don't think anybody, cared much about that match. I don't think anybody cared much about it. I didn't care about it because I honestly just passed through it.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really care about watching it because I can just look. I looked on Twitter to see who won, and a lot of people were commenting.
Why? Why did you look on Twitter?
Because
isn't it still more fun to watch instead of it getting spoiled for you?
But the only thing is, I knew that Jeff Snyder was gonna blow him out. I knew it. I just knew either way because, I'm looking, just within the pre-match up there, it's like, In Snyder versus El Mayimbe. Who's going to win? In Snyder, dude. And he's going to win by blowout, by knockout. Guess what happened? He won by knockout. I mean, I wasn't surprised. So, I even predicted it. There, I was like, hey, he's going to win by knockout. Watch.
Interesting.
Watch.
Interesting. I think what could happen, again, I don't think it will, but it's possible if Merle takes the belt tomorrow, we could be seeing that belt get passed around quite a bit. Because right after Merle, I mean, it'll shift over to Merle, and then Merle has to go up against Levine and Clark. Both equally tough. I mean, that belt might get passed a couple of times here in the near future. So that's something to think about. They also want to ask you quickly your opinion on the sudden death between JTE and Ellis. This caused a lot of fuss. I think a lot of people harassed Christian, and he didn't mind it, so I don't mean to put a negative spin on it, but a lot of people were concerned about sudden death before he went dark this past weekend. I just wanted your quick opinion on that.
I will just say I like that idea there of sudden death. I liked it.
So you're fine with the way it's handled?
I'm fine with it because they know what they're doing with it. They know what they're doing. Just let them do what they're doing. It's fine. It's fine how it is. Later on down the line, maybe it could be changed. Some way, somehow, maybe down the line it could change. But for right now, leave it how it is. It's perfectly fine how it is. It's only one question, and if the person gets it right, they win.
I had a quick flashback to my middle school quick recall days. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Doing what do you call it? It's trivia, but it's middle school like academic team. I guess that's the word I wanted. But anyway, there's that. I don't have a problem with sudden death either, and I'll just leave it at that. But if you go back and watch this video that I was talking about when they break down the Smo Down, Christian announced it in December, and I don't know if people know this. You have to watch the video to find out. But he announced that they're doing what's called a Schmo Down Spectacular in December, which is essentially going to be their WrestleMania. So it sounds like it's going to be like 5 matches in one, and there's going to be a lot of people going in and out and fighting. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. So I hope he talks more about that here later in the next few months. So we've arrived at the major talking point of this podcast. We're at Schmoes Know show number 240. Let's get tickled. Ellis, by the way, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
I know
Ellis.
you're in Iowa right now doing stand-up, probably getting trashed. Good for you, man. You deserve it. Have a hell of a 36th birthday, I believe. 36. So there's that. Hope you had a great time. Hope you had a great set. There you are. But, we're talking about something that didn't involve you, so that's all I'm going to say about you, Mark Ellis. So at the main table, we had Christian hosting, Sasha, Makuga, and Riley at the main table, which I understand why, because they had a guest come in or whatever, but I just want to see Riley at the main table. I know he works the laptop and does the contest and monitors the chat and everything like that. I know he does that, but let Copster do that one day. I want Riley at the main table. I want more from Riley.
So you rather see Riley instead of Brett Sheridan there at the main table?
Well, I mean, but Brett wasn't there today, so I feel like that could have been a perfect opportunity.
I know, but would it have to be like every show that Mark Riley is going to be at the table, or
No.
once in a while, Okay.
Once in a while. I think he's just one person that I'm a big fan of, and I want to hear more from him. And I think Brett, I like Brett. Anyone who listens to this podcast knows I like Brett. But I think what the show uses him for just feels like another segment to me, almost like Ace's segment, where Ace can come in and out, do that segment. We appreciate it, but it's like if he's gonna sit there and not contribute to the rest of the show, I would love it if Ace did that, by the way. But if you're going into the show saying Ace is gonna come in, throw in this segment, and then leave and do whatever else, then that's fine. But that's how I sort of view Brett to the future. Like, I feel like I would like to see more from Riley and people that can contribute to the more contemporary news, the contemporary discussion with movies. And I appreciate it. Like, if he's getting more involved with that because he's a part of the Schmoes Know crew, and I think he's seen most of the Marvel movies, and I feel like he's trying. And by all means, if he's doing that, then that's fine. But if he's only doing Brett to the Future and not really contributing elsewhere, like every now and then, just throw in Riley at the main table. I would really, really enjoy that. Not permanently, just every now and then. I like to see a little bit of everybody. So, shout out to Gentle Giant for that cool set, right? Were you impressed by all the figurines and stuff?
Oh my god, I love the figurines. Oh my lord, I want them in my house. I want them in my house.
The Warcraft character, I was so impressed.
Oh my god.
I was impressed by how, for one, I didn't, it's hard to gauge because we're not in LA. I didn't really know how big of a company or whatever you want to say about Gentle Giant. I didn't really know how big it was, and the fact that they were working with Legendary to produce that, I just think it's really cool, and I probably should check out their website because Christian was plugging that a lot, so I'll definitely check that out when we're done here. But yeah, the set looks great, guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from them. Maybe they rotate more figurines in and out of there and stuff. I know they had a ton of Star Wars stuff. I didn't catch Jedi Council today, so they might have actually used some of that for Jedi Council. Do you know, or did they set that up strictly for Schmoes Know?
I didn't get to catch Jedi Council as well.
Yeah, it's hard for me to catch it right before the live show because I'm usually busy and it's back to back like 4 hours. So
no,
but
yeah. Oh, yeah, I feel your pain.
One thing I want to mention is they were talking about. I think they talked about the .com. Yeah, Riley talked about it. The article that was posted was part of that contest. Everyone, go look up on the Schmoeville Facebook group if you're interested in submitting to the .com. Riley threw out a post that he just wants everyone to know to make sure that it's there's going to be a standard when it comes to posts in the .com. So make sure that your stuff is up to quality, and absolutely encourage everyone to give us some great articles on the .com. It's good. I think that's great. I can't wait to see what else happens with the site. Do you use Snapchat?
I do. I have Snapchat. I rarely ever use it.
Well, follow Schmoes Know, because ever since
I do follow them.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
So have you looked at their story yet?
I looked at it during the commercial break, and it's the funniest thing ever.
They are giving us a lot of goodies on there. Like, it's a lot of fun stuff, really quick humor, and just a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So if you use Snapchat, make sure you follow them, because I had a blast looking through all the stuff that they were doing on there.
Yeah, and instead of having to like wait, for on the SK podcast channel, there's a plug for it right there. Instead of having to look for like the behind the scenes of it, you can just follow them on Snapchat, and you can see like all the behind the scenes there on Snapchat, in like 10-second videos, or like, whether if it's like pictures and all this stuff. I think that's, it's a fantastic thing that they're doing right now with with Snapchat and with like different social media. So and I need to bring this up, Cobster's Breaks. Now, just seeing him there instead of like listening to his voice, I think it is an absolute 100%. I love it. I love it.
Oh, really? See, I think it got way worse.
Really?
I'm just joking.
Oh my god!
I was just joking. Sorry,
damn
Copster.
You, Snelling. Damn you.
I can't be mean to Copster. He helps me put up this podcast every week.
And I love those little giveaways that he does as well with the commercial breaks, with those digital download codes. I love how he's doing that now. I mean, it's like the way, the way that he finishes it, he'll just say like, here's how to do, here's how to get into like a digital download code. This is what you got to do. Go to, tweet Schmoes Know, hashtag it, and hashtag Copsters Breaks, and then just, and he'll just give out anything there, and he'll pick a winner for, for like a digital for like a digital download, and he will also do it for like, for like podcasts, and make sure you guys check out the Schmoeville podcast on the Schmoeville, on the Schmoes Know.
If they're listening now, then they probably already have.
Yeah, make sure you guys drop a comment. I'm pointing down like if it's like YouTube or something, like I'm in a YouTube video. Put it there in the comments section. Make sure you rate the podcast as well, and yeah, dude, yeah, guys, and make sure you share this podcast to everybody who's interested in movies and wants to know about movies.
Well said. I want to talk about my one beef with Copster is during the break. I love it. I love it when he puts Schmoeville podcast in the break. Okay, I appreciate that so much. Mm-hmm. You couldn't have picked a better clip. They played a clip where I revealed that I didn't rewatch the Smo Down to prepare for my podcast. It was so embarrassing. I was like, Copster, you couldn't have picked, you could have made me sound funny or something. Like, I might be asking for, why don't you just be more funny?
Be careful you don't get a pissed off Copster on Twitter.
Nah, Copster loves me. We talk about filming stuff. No,
man.
I just thought it was funny. I was like, what? Of all the clips, why was this the one you chose? But to talk about last week's Schmoeville podcast for a second, let's talk about Makuga. Okay, so for one, I wish I could take credit for something as smart as Mildman. Hashtag Mildman blew up today. They were talking about it on the show. I love it. Okay, so whoever, I guess it was Christian that said it. Great job, whoever coined Mildman. So for one, I don't buy for a second that Makuga listened to the podcast. Okay, that's the first thing. So I think Christian listens to the podcast. I'm sure Christian told him what we said and played it for him or whatever. So let me just help Makuga. This is for you, Christian. Go get Makuga. Let him listen to this podcast, since he misses out every week. Makuga, if you listen to Schmoeville weekly, you would know that what I said about you last week, what Luke said about you last week, it was an outlier, buddy. Have you heard me say that I think TV Talk is arguably the best show on Collider Video? No, you haven't, because you don't listen to this podcast. Have you heard me brag about how I think you're more than just a dumb jock? I think you have so much book smarts, because I've heard you talk about all these crazy books that you've read, and I've thought, wow, that guy's a lot smarter than he looks. I am actually a huge fan of the Josh Makuga show. I go on, I might go into a wormhole on the internet and just watch episode after episode of the Josh Makuga show. My dream job is also to be a talk show host, so I share that with you. So yes, I might make fun of the fact that, if I have to hear you say that you're from Pittsburgh one more time, I might hurt myself. I might say things like that, but overall, I love you, buddy. Okay? And I hope that we can find peace in this time. And I hope that you don't hold the mild man hashtag against me, because it's so damn funny.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
And thank you for finally addressing. Haven't you been wondering what that scrape is above his eye? That's been bugging me ever since TV Talk started. I think I saw it on Instagram where Sasha had to put makeup on it. It's still there. It's like the wart in Christian Bale's eye. It's like once you see it, once you see the wart in Christian Bale's eye, you can never not see it. And that's how that scar is above Makuga's eye. Just it's always gonna bother me. Makuga, I hope you're not feeling insecure, because you're the man, okay? And I'm really glad that you were in a lot of this episode. But I loved the the Facebook, you know this, in the Facebook group, the master post, everyone was going nuts over the mild man. And I loved how Jake Stanley, my man Jake Stanley, comments as they're talking and making fun of Makuga, saying that he's not the wild man anymore. Jake Stanley just put, but it's true.
Oh my god, bro.
Makuga, I love you, buddy. We love you at the Schmoeville podcast. But now you can go away now, and we'll talk about other things. I just want to say, I think the one thing I noticed about this show, for one, I loved this episode. Okay, I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it was a great mix of discussion and just their personalities coming through, and it was also just there was a lot of variety, right? Like you were watching.
There was.
When Christian, and I don't mean this in a bad way, we talked about how Mark wasn't here. Christian was off camera for a while. So I don't want them to take this the wrong way, but it just seemed like we got a lot of variety. Seeing Miri sort of take over and host, seeing Sasha command the table as well with that interview, and Makuga was even involved.
Fantastic interview.
It was great, and that's the thing I've talked about on this podcast. This is the stuff that I love from Collider and Schmoes. The stuff that it's informative and it teaches me things, and I really appreciate that they have these independent filmmakers on to talk about their material.
And that's another thing that they can try to do with the podcast and all this stuff. Bring in a little bit more variety.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, yeah, maybe Christian should look into. And I don't know what their plays are on this podcast feed, but depending on how well they do, maybe Christian could do a podcast and do sort of like a profile on somebody. Like I talked to Ellis about, I would love to see somebody like a Drew Goddard or Damon Lindelof. And if they weren't going to do it like on the actual show, have them on the podcast. I mean, that'd be really cool to hear. And I'm sure a ton of people, like that person's fans, would love to come over and, check out Schmoes. There's another idea. Yeah, I mean, did you get a sense of that? I mean, it was just like a nice, healthy variety, and it just kind of always felt fresh. The entire episode felt fresh.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I mean, right when it came to like the interview there for that documentary, Tickled. I mean, it was just seeing Miri and Sasha and Josh there, interviewing the director of the documentary. I was like, oh my god. This is such a breath of fresh air right now.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of having like let's say like one of my favorite moments so far. I mean, I think it's like my number 5 or number 6 moment of Phase 6 so far, which is a scared Makuga. I loved that interview what they did with the Hayes brothers, but. If there could be like a little bit more, like a little bit more like interviews with like independent directors, such as the director for the documentary Tickled, or maybe there could be, just thinking back to Phase 5, when they had Paul Feig. I think it was call in. He called in or he joined in live in the studio. I mean, that was also a breath of fresh air as well, and I'm like, oh my god, I love this.
We don't get call-ins, unfortunately, anymore. So, I mean, but they've had people like the Russos come in and do like the separate segment or whatever for Collider, and that's been really cool. But yeah, we don't get call-ins, and there's no like really big celebrities that are able to do that now. So hopefully they implement that, because that'd be that's something that we haven't talked about on here, I don't think. So
yeah, that would be something that they can try to do as well. Try to fit in with with like either like like a writer's schedule or maybe like the director's schedule. I mean, if they could try to fit in with something like that and try to get them on like the live show, that would be awesome. But I mean, but also like the Russos, they could just put like the full, they could play like a clip of the interview that they did with said person, and then later on after the show, they can watch like the full interview. Sure. And all that stuff. So I like those ideas as well. So I mean, I would like to see a little bit more like independent directors come on, and get the chance to be get the chance to be like asked about like like what was like the process for like for making this movie and all this stuff. I mean, it would just be really great.
For sure, for sure. And you mentioned Makuga getting scared with The Conjuring or whatever. I'm on record saying I actually don't think that those clips are that big of a deal. Like, and Christian made fun of me on the live show once about how I just wasn't really
Don't
impressed.
start stirring up anything about Makuga.
No,
now.
I'm not trying to start it up. All I want to say is that I thought Makuga and Christian with this cat was way better. Way better. Makuga, I don't know if Makuga was angry, if it was fear, a little bit of both, but how he handled that cat was hilarious. Hilarious.
It's just like the way that Christian's face did it when he was like mimicking the cat. It was like,
yeah. I think there was a little bit of fear there too. I think there was a little bit of fear with those two, because that stupid cat. And I could make fun of him being afraid of a cat all day. I'm not sure.
By the way, I love your cat. By the way, I love the cat, Sasha. Love you.
I'm not a big cat person myself, but what I did love, all of that interaction, to me, Makuga getting scared or angry with that cat, whatever, was way better than him getting scared about The Conjuring. Just saying.
Oh my! But it was a little bit funnier. I mean, when he got scared with the cat and all the stuff. I don't know whether if he was like being scared, or whether if it was like pissed off. I mean, I think it could have been like a pissed off fear.
Well, they talked about how it might have been, it might have just hated men, but what was funny is that Bill Burr has this great bit about how he bought this pit bull. And he had to be careful trying to like psych this thing up, because if Bill Burr had like a massive amount of energy, he could like hype up this dog and accidentally turn it into a killing machine. And that's what I thought was going to happen on the show, because there's a lot of screaming and yelling. They were carrying on. That cat was on the table in front of them when they were discussing it. I thought the chemistry in the room, the atmosphere, was going to amp this cat up, and I thought that cat was going to go nuts. And the incident that they talked about with him hitting the director, I thought that was going to happen to someone on the table. Like, there was so much commotion. I thought that cat was going to go nuts.
I'm laughing at like the fact when when you see Harloff there like next to Sasha, and she's just like getting the cat.
He got up at one point. They like almost got up because the cat was too close to them.
No, and he just gets up and he's like, bro, this fucking cat is just like giving me this face. Fuck it, I'm done. I'm moving to the other side. I'm like, oh my god.
And he stayed there. He stayed on the other side. He never went back. Anyway, that bit was great. So yeah. You can hate on me for not caring about the Conjuring clip, but this is one of my favorite moments, honestly. This is one of my favorite moments of the show, and I'll always remember this moving forward. So that's what you should do to go viral. Put Makuga and Christian alone in a room or in a closet with that cat and see what they look like coming out of it.
Dude, that would be... I don't know how hard I will be laughing, man.
Across the board, all along the table... There was quality everywhere. Even RB3 came on for a second. He said like two things, but the thing about RB3 is he was on the Schmoeville podcast, and I got to talk to him very early on in his Schmoes career. And I think if you listen to that podcast, you can tell. I don't know if he's nervous or it might have just been early, but I got the sense that he might have been a little uncomfortable on the mic. But that's why I'm so impressed now, because I would love to have him come back. I feel like it feels comfortable, and I don't know if he knows those people better than he knows me and Paul, obviously, so that might have something to do with it too. But I think he's doing a great job on the mic, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from RB3. And obviously, he didn't have a video this week, but always dig those videos. So great addition.
Just thinking about that about the podcast with RB3. I think I do agree with you there a little bit. I think he was a little bit uncomfortable there, talking on the mic, but I think right now he's probably like grown into it, and just just started getting a little bit more comfortable talking on the mic. And also it could have been that he just started like early on into
Sure.
his into being one of like the B team and being an intern as well. So maybe it could have been something like that as well. I mean, it could be a mixture of things. You know, I would need to listen back to it again and just really listen closely to like how he was talking, and then just put in any thoughts, and just be like, oh, okay, maybe he was a little bit uncomfortable, but also nervous at the same time, because it was his first time
Yeah, I
there
mean,
being.
it might have been nerves, but I mean, I don't feel the need to go back and like critique him necessarily. But it could have been nerves, and that's fine. I have a terrible anxiety issue, so I understand what nerves are like. So, but anyway, with that being said, I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. Um, I had a lot of fun seeing all the tweets to Finstock because he quote unquote ruined the show. Uh, I didn't get a feel for that at all. I love them making fun of Finstock. I love that was sort of the theme. They talked a lot about they were talking about the secret life of pets. Sasha brought her cat on, and then they had that great story with the dog. And I hope the dog is okay, but I cracked up at that story, especially hearing Riley. I'd never heard Riley impersonate Finstock before, and I thought that was hilarious because I'm a huge fan of impressions. So that was
Okay,
great.
speaking of impressions, can you do any impressions
I do
yourself?
I do terrible impressions.
You can
Like
do you do terrible impressions. Okay.
like my
Well,
impressions are always impressions of impressions. So like when I do Matthew McConaughey, for example, I'm actually impersonating Matt Damon doing Matthew McConaughey. Or when I impersonate uh Christopher Walken, I'm impersonating Bradley Cooper impersonating Christopher Walken. Like I'm only able to pick up on impressions when I hear other people do them. It's kind of strange. I never think to do it, but I leave it to the pros. So I'm not any
well, I
good
mean,
at it.
well, Christian Harloff can do some good
Oh, he's
impressions.
amazing. God, he went from Arnold to John Lovitz to George Takei. I mean, and he doesn't even have to think about it. Like
But
he
can
just
he do
goes for it.
Smeagol? Can he do Smeagol preciouses? Or can he do got him? Smeagol, got him. Got him.
Damn, that is impressive. I'm serious.
Yes,
Great job.
preciouses. Yes, preciouses. Oh no.
Yeah, I can do Smeagol. I can do. I mean, Joe from Family Guy will be another
Well-
one that I could do. So
let me wrap up the show. We'll talk impressions
Okay.
when we close this out. Before I wrap it up, the game was really difficult. Makuga, by the way. Do you have anything else that you want to say or that we want to talk about before we wrap it up and get out of here?
I mean, well, I would like to, I would like to see a little bit more variety. Like we were going back on. I would
Sure.
like to see a little bit more variety. And when it comes to doing like impressions and all this stuff, I would like to see like Christian Harloff put out a post in Schmoeville, um, you know that like sending in like a 6-second video or like something, just so people can like show off like their impressions of whatever they can do. I mean, and it could probably be like a giveaway and all this stuff. Maybe for like the next show, it could be a giveaway. Like submit in your best impression that you can do.
I could probably win the preciouses. I could probably win doing Smeagol. No, it's
I-
got him. Smeagol, got him. Got him.
You'd be a pretty good contender, but I think actually Christian should do more videos, like actually doing impressions and maybe doing skits of his impressions. Because there's people like Jamie Costa who are internet famous due to their impressions, and if Christian wanted to, he could probably set aside time every day to put out a little Vine or something, and I feel like he could do well
Oh
for
yeah,
himself.
that would be
'cause
that would be
he
awesome.
every impression he does is not bad. So,
Yeah, I mean, his Jason Statham impression, I think, during Phase 5 was good.
I'll have to go back and check that out.
Oh my god, dude! No, and just speaking on impressions, I mean, if you have not checked out the celebrity impression dating game,
I have.
I mean, you know, for all the new listeners, you know, if you haven't checked out celebrity impression dating game, make sure you guys go ahead and check it out on the SK Podcast channel. It's all there. It's the funniest thing ever. Just watching the crew just do impressions just to try to win a date. Oh my god! And like that recent one with Jamie Costa, for like the debut of Phase 6, that was amazing.
For sure.
That was amazing. Sure. I mean, he does like 5 impressions, and then just comes out of nowhere and they were just like, no, you need to turn it back around, Sasha, because JT has been working on like a Robin Williams impression, and then you just see Jamie Costa come back out again, and she was like, oh, you guys got a voice actor. No, JT he was been practicing a lot on his Robin Williams. JT does it, and it was just like, oh, dude, nah. Yeah.
I agree that it was great. It was a great introduction to the show for me, like I said, because I love impressions. So, but anyway, I think that about does it for this episode of Schmoeville. It was a great episode. Again, I really enjoyed it, and I hope they don't take it the wrong way, because obviously I love Christian and Ellis, but it was just kind of refreshing to see something a little bit different, slightly different, not too much different. With that being said, Brian, thank you for coming on. Thank you for your service when it comes to policing the Facebook group. I appreciate it. Do you have anything that you want to plug before we get out of here?
I do have a Twitter. And you could just you could follow me at Damn You Brian.
Damn You Brian. Perfect.
Yeah,
is that a Family Guy reference?
No, it was just it's a reference that well, maybe it is a Family Guy reference.
I guess it could be any reference to anything that involves someone named Brian.
Yeah, it could be any reference. It's just a general like, damn you, Brian, you know. It's just like a general reference. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, you can follow me on Twitter at FilmBeefSnell. I loved chatting up with you guys over the week, so please do that again. I'd love to talk about anything you want to talk about. And make sure you follow my podcast. Subscribe to Film Beef. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever. Find Film Beef, listen to our movie reviews and our TV recaps. You can also find it on YouTube if you want to do it that way. So we just reviewed The Purge Anarchy. We're going to come out with Swiss Army Man and The Shallows. But we're also gearing up to recap. We've been recapping Preacher, but we're gearing up for Mr. Robot Season 2. So if you're into Mr. Robot, come check out our show. But anyway, thank you so much for hanging out on Schmoeville, and we'll see you next week.